Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. Looks like we are live, and hopefully the audio is good and the video is good and everything is good because we just want to be good. Tonight we're going to be working on the downhill bike. Yeah, downhill season is here once again, and last year I totally neglected my bike. I did not do any maintenance to it when we finished up our trip to Massachusetts. Had a super fun time out there, but it was rainy and sloppy, so we threw the bikes in the car and just drove home. Put them in that trailer and drove away. And then I put it in the closet, and it just kind of corroded. Poor mountain bike. Until today, I took it out, washed it off, and got it ready for this live stream. We're going to treat it just like we started from the bike wash video I did a while back. So instead of stopping there, we're going to go ahead and start with just lubricating all of the pivot points on the bike and pivots on the derailleur. Since we did wash off the bike and spray water all over it, we washed out some grease and oil that's in there to keep everything moving smoothly. It looks like we are having trouble with our live stream. Oh no. YouTube is not receiving enough information. What can we do to remedy this? Just a moment. I may have forgot to set something. Output. Okay, hopefully that fixed everything. I don't know. We'll see what YouTube says here in just a minute. What's your video experience like in the stream down there? Somebody let me know. Looks like there's 2 people watching, so hopefully we got the error fixed up. But we're going to be replacing the lowers on the fork today. So instead of just replacing these seals, I'm going to go ahead and do a full lower replacement. There's bushings that go just beneath the seals there, and that's where the friction really happens. And the ones on my fork are done. No matter what I do, it wiggles a little bit, and I'm just tired of that. So we're going to replace that and have a much better functioning fork. And that's going to be awesome. But right now, it really does not look like YouTube is working with me. What's your video experience like? Maybe it's not as jittery as it looks on my screen. Hopefully not. We'll carry on. Pretend like everything's good. Forget that warning on the screen. I'm going to open a widget. It says open the widget. There. The analytics stream settings. Yeah. Well, I've got all my settings set the way that they should be, I think. There's one other thing I have to do. Let's try that. So on OBS, it looks okay, but on YouTube, no go. Apply that. Okay. And if that doesn't work, we're just going to have a choppy feed tonight because that's how it's going to be. And I apologize for that. It's my fault. So the first thing we're going to do is take care of the loose headset on this bike. And the bike itself, what are we working with? That beautiful giant glory. So we should be looking at this bicycle right here. Just look at that. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's 2017 or something. It doesn't have to be new. because we don't need a new downhill bike. We just need a downhill bike. But for some reason, it looks like YouTube is frozen up. Stupid tube. I'm using the same settings that I did on my last live stream, and it works flawlessly. Let's see. I may try moving my computer back to where it was before. See if that helps. I don't know, because it was here before and it did just fine. The universe, it does what it wants. So we're going to loosen up these pinch bolts here. And since this does have a triple crown fork, we need to loosen up all of the points here to get the headset in a position where we can actually apply some pressure to it. Loosen that one. This one back here. And we've got one more over here. I'm quite surprised this was loose, but these things do happen. So once again, I appreciate you all who would join me tonight on a Friday night instead of out partying and drinking and doing lame stuff, because that's lame. Let's just have fun and work on bikes. So now we're going to tighten this back. Add some pressure there. Hopefully that took out all the slack. Should have done it. So my Cane Creek spacer down there won't rotate easily. So I'm going to assume that that's tight. And now we're going to get the torque wrench. Because the torque wrench is your friend. Nobody wants to die. Not using a torque wrench can lead to your death. It really can. Especially on something like a downhill bike. You're just going to snug the bolt a little bit. It's rock tight. Not tight, but snug. You want to do all the turning with the torque wrench. And it feels all of the tension. And we get a true measurement. We start with the back one. And double check this real quick. 5 Newton meters. That's all you want to tighten it. Newton meters. Of course, this doesn't fit well in this area. Right there. And some of y'all might be like, torque wrench, you should be a professional and just feel it. Well, that's bullcrap. A professional will use a torque wrench. 5 Newton meters. And you might be able to feel it, think you feel it, but it can vary. The material you're tightening into, depending on how much lube is on everything, it can really affect the way things feel. Just checking the tension on my other bolts, making sure they're good. Those are still tight. All right, step 1 of the tune up, done. Yay! Back to the bench. How are you wonderful people doing this evening? Hope you're having fun. I am. Alright, so what should we do next? we're going to do the easy stuff, and then we're going to move into the fork later on. So I think the next thing, well, I say easy, but there's nothing easy when it comes to working on a bike. It's going to be fun. I just may have to run upstairs for a second because I left my other tools up there and I need my bead drop. I was like, I got everything I need, but I don't. According to YouTube, we are now working with an excellent connection. I'm stoked on that. Hope you're stoked on that, because live feed's going to go a lot better if I'm not all jumping around. But it looks like there are 3 viewers, so thanks to you guys. But we're going to start off with the least fun part. Going to be pulling that back wheel. Yeah. We're going to pull the back wheel off, get the tire off, and seal up the back tire. Some fresh tape on the rim. I don't know why I'm having trouble holding air, but I don't like it, and nobody does. So wait with me for like 5 seconds while I'm going to be dropping. Well, would you look at that? I'm right back. And I've got this handy dandy toolkit that I travel with. Because when you're out there riding, you just never know when you're going to have trouble. And you need one of these. You definitely do. So now, let's move back over to the bike and drop that wheel out of there. So we're going to need an 8mm Allen wrench. Oh, yeah. To the bicycle. And look at that. We are at the bike. Taking an 8mm Allen wrench. First, we're going to turn off the clutch so the motor can move freely. Hold this bolt still. And nut and bolt the back bolt out. And that part's it. And now for the wide shot. If I did that correctly, we're on this camera, and I hope I did. So I'm going to grab the bead droppers. This guy makes changing tires so much easier if you use it properly. One of the biggest problems that people have with these is they don't use them properly. Oh, this tire might be ruined. Oh no. We're going to do it up close. Maybe it's too dark back here. It's too dark on that camera. But this gets some cracking right here. And I rode this thing pretty harshly when I was out there. It's a downhill casing tire. It should be okay. Should be. Probably done. Oh. Tell you what. We're just going to save ourselves the trouble and put a brand new tire on. Which is going to create trouble for us later on. Because we're supposed to use that tire for something else. But yeah, when you're using a bead dropper and you're trying to get these tires in and out with, you got Cush core or whatever tire line you've got in there. I've got a Tannis. The idea is to actually push the bead down to the center of the rim. You're not trying to use this thing as a super sturdy tire lever and snap it out. You're going to push the bead to the center of the rim all the way around. Just jam it in and push it down. So you get to the center, you're going to have more slack. It's going to be easy to get the tire on and off the wheel. Yeah. Real easy. Just like this. Just pushing into the rubber and pushing down. I wish I'd have known I was doing this with a new tire today. That's okay. That will kind of just make it easier. Sit here. Oh man, that's tight. Alright. Now try to push that down on this side. Come over to the other side and do the same. Starting at the valve so you know where you're at. Pushing that bead in into the center. And there. I haven't done this in a while. Have you? How many people will get on there? 2 people? We're partying on the live stream. Watch me struggle. Oh, I really hope this comes off easy. It's not going to. Since the downhill casing max is shorty, and we've got that tannis liner in there. And it's been on there for like 6 months. 7 months. I probably should have just ran a tube in the back. But I was tired of getting fronts. So we're not going to run tubes. We're just going to fight with it, right? One of these stupid liners. Alright. So we got that part done, hopefully. Now take a drink of refreshing water. Use our handy dandy Park TL5s. Sorry, neighbors. And since we push that bead down, we're going to come to the far side of the rim from the valve. Try to peel this out. Come on. Underneath that bead. It should hopefully be a large enough section. We'll get one more right there. Is that thing gonna be worth saving? That's fine. Let's see, it's gross. Looks like mud. It is mud. Massachusetts mud. Thunder Mountain. If you ever get a chance, you should get it. So we got it's gross. And that is all. Like that is really gross. It's gonna spill on the floor, or she's gonna get mad at me. It's still her life, right? All right. Okay. Let's go back over here. We want camera one. And we're going to need some rags. So let's talk a little bit. Why am I taking the time to do this? It's a pain in the butt when you're out there and your tire leaks, when you're riding all day, and you got to stop and look with it. And then it just sucks. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the tape, put a layer of Gorilla Tape. It sucks. It's not my favorite thing to do. But I don't have the best luck with this tire in rim setup. So we're going to do Gorilla Tape, and that's going to help the tire hold air better and link up. We have a person. Tubeless can be a huge hassle, but when it works, it's all right. The problem is, I dented the heck out of this rim. Or actually, I bought this bike used, and it had a terrible dent in the rim. Terrible. And I had to bend it out, and it's really probably not the best thing to be running tubeless on, but I got flats all the time with snowshoe. So I had to make a choice. Oh my God. That's bad. That's really bad. I need to replace the bearings in my house. Do we want to do that next Friday? I think so. We're not planning to do that this evening. First, we're going to take the valve out. We'll need some pliers. Those bearings are feeling super rough. We got a bunch of bearings around here. They're really not that hard to change, but it's late at night. Late. And my neighbors don't want to hear me counting those out. Not at all. First, put the honest tape. I guess that's second, since the first thing was to get the valve out. Nah. Yeah. All the fun of tubeless. Where'd the seam go? Come on, seam. It's shredded right there. But if you're ever having trouble with your tubeless setups, running the tape I just mentioned, Gorilla Tape, on the inside of the rim before you put your tubeless tape, or you don't even have to use tubeless tape, will really make it stick. You're going to Snowshoe on the 29th. I will have to check my schedule. I will be going to Snowshoe as much as I possibly can, because I love that place. Let's check the schedule. I know I'm going sometime this month, because they open. Today on the 29th. I will not be here on the 29th. That is a Wednesday. I'll be at work. But I do appreciate your enthusiasm being there on a weekday. I hear they are building jumps on the basin side, so you should hopefully have something to jump. Yeah. I used to go on weekdays on the time on Mondays, get the mountain to yourself, but you only get to ride the base inside. And having the mountain to yourself is awesome because you can just do endless laps, no lines. Now we're slowly pulling this off so it doesn't shred again. Oh, there's a hole in it right there. That could have been the problem. So what do you think? Retry the tire or brand new tire? The new tire is not a downhill casing. That's cool. Which trails have you ridden on the basin side? It's like the letter trails, or you sticking to like Easy Street and oh, what's that other one? Dirt Beaver. That one's real fun. And there's a new like Dream Beaver. So you go into Dreamweaver and then turn on to Dirt Beaver. There's one of the connectors. It's kind of a mellow trail. Oh my goodness. There's another tire over there. I think I know what we're going to do. I know what we're going to do. Yes. The blue flows? Yeah. That's going to be the Dreamweaver, Easy Street, and that kind of stuff. Or Easy Street's a green, I think, so yeah. But over here, I have a Maxxis tire. On the front, what do we got? How fat are you? Sorry, I stepped out of view. A 2.6. So we got 2.6. And then I have a slightly used 2.6 right here. Check that it is a 2.6. Oh man, it's carbon in. Yeah, so it's 2.6. No, this is a 2.8. That's not going to work. Not going to work. Gone. So we're going to do a hardcore downhill and do 2 front tires. Because, you know, we're not worried about acceleration. We want cornering. Just digging in those hooks. Weak. I really just don't have another back tire. Oh yeah, the letter trails can be sketch on a wet day. That is not something you want to try on your own for the first time. You definitely want to let your air pressures down and hope that the sidewalls on your tires are really going to bite in. Are you going to be on your own bike or are you using rentals? Blank. So now we got some grill tape. I'm going to take this glove off for a second. It's going to be easier to use the tape. You'll notice I've got a little split. It's going to be about the width of the rim already. We're going to start a little bit over from the valve hole and get a good seal. Walk that around the rim. I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit. Hopefully it didn't shake too much. There we go. Just want to make sure that it's touching down all the way into the center of the rim, covering up all the spoke holes and any cracks. Bring in the clash. Aha! Commensal, right? Am I remember that correctly? Commensal clash. Even though I have an enduro bike and it's totally fun to ride, I really just prefer taking my downhill bike to snowshoe because these things get torn up as snowshoe. And I like to keep my enduro bike ready to ride around here. All right, so we've gone from just past the valve over there to this side a little bit. Grab the old pocket knife. Yeah. That's what I thought, the commence. These guys make some pretty sweet bikes. I was looking at getting one of their kids' bikes for my son before I built up his Kona. But I just couldn't bring myself to spend all that money because who has $2,000 to spend on a kid's bike? So I spent $1,000. Yeah, I'd say just sticking to the blues will definitely help save the bike a little bit. Can't promise it's going to keep the bike completely safe, but less likely to bang up your rims and just do this kind of stuff. So like the reason I'm running tubeless is I was riding Pro DH and just like flying through there, even with 8 inches of travel on the back of this thing, just blowing tubes all the time, hitting those rocks. And the guys I was riding with, they don't have that trouble. They don't have tubes. I think there was a hole in that tape. That was the real problem I was having. But I'm just going to go ahead and put that fresh tire on there and just not have to worry about it. Get this to clear up a little bit. Same deal, found the valve hole. We're going to start a little bit over from the valve hole. And I'm using knockoff tape to finish it and make sure it's extra doubly in there. And I also want to create a layer between the Gorilla Tape because that stuff will ooze out the glue and make the tire hold together. And we're all the way past. Once again, cut it. And the bar. Good and pressed around the inside all the way. Have a little X right here at the valve. All right. So you're just going to be up there for the Wednesday? You're going to stay for the weekend? Because I know that would be expensive. Whoa. Okay, so we got that on there. And instead of just twisting it with my tool and stressing my rim and scratching it up, take something and push down on it from the back. Smash it down into the rim as hard as you can. Something soft, rubber or plastic. You don't want to use a harsh metal thing, it's going to scratch it. And that way, you can really tighten it up without really having to work on it with one of these. And just give it 1 or 2 twists. And and we should be good. Should be good. I'm really torn about this tire. Just torn. Grab a pair of snips. We're gonna do it. New tire. Just like new season, new tire, new brake pads. That's the next thing we need to do. We need to check the brake pads. Because it's a new season. We did lots of downhilling in the station hills. Right? Nobody wants to die. Okay, so new tire. I'm gonna go over here. Let's go back. I'm gonna come over here. Hi, how are you doing today? My name's Pete. And today we're going to be installing front tire on the back. So according to some of the pro racer guys, they like to do this because they have stronger turning knobs on the back tire. This is actually a slightly narrower tire than I have on the front, so it should theoretically dig in. And you can lay it over and get a really good cornering edge, and we don't have to worry so much about pedaling efficiency because, well, we're going downhill. Proper way to mount and max this tire is with the second X align with your valve hole. And we're just going to shoot for it and probably miss. Get this here. And soon the struggle to get rid. Alright, so first we got the tire on. We're going to push that bead as far over as we can. We're going to get that as far across there as you can. Make sure it's all the way down in that channel, all the way around. We don't really want it all the way up on the other side just yet, but soon we will. Now we have a sloppy and a slimer. We want to find this little port here, so you can see there's a hole in the top and a little gap right there. You want to line that with your valve hole and cram this guy in your tank. Oh, it's sloppy, slimy, and gross. And you want to actually hook that in and push the bead push it all the way over the bead of the rim. And get that in there all the way. It can be a struggle. It wants to pop out as you're going around. All that fun stuff. Almost. In there if you have to, because that's what I'm having to do. Keep pushing around. And you get bead set all the way back. So now you've got one side on, that pushed in there as far as you can. Start the valve here. Try to walk this tire along. The bead dropper. Bead dropper's your friend. So you're going to take your bead dropper, and you can't really see me from that. So you're going to push down, get the bead pushed as far to the center as you can. Because that's what we want to do with it. Drop that bead. Yeah, there we go. Now we're working. Start working it back the other way. Push that bead all the way down. I'm trying to create as much of a gap as you can. Getting that bead to the bottom of the tire. I'm going to get as much slack as you can possibly get. Push cores are awesome. So many canvas liners. So much fun. Push that down some more. This one might go pretty easy. Yeah. Just one last struggle. One last struggle. Try and center up the tire. So now that we got that bead pushed down as far as we can, we want it to come back up as far as it can. And of course, I've left one more important thing upstairs. Who does this? I do. Let me check. Do a check. There's not one right here. There's not one right there. How do I have the pump down here? 2 seconds. Here. Maybe longer than 2 seconds. But we have a pump. I know what you're thinking. You didn't put any sealant in there. Who needs sealant? Magical. I probably should put some sealant in here. But first, we're just going to see if we can fuck this thing up. We cannot. We cannot. So, now I am going to put the sealant in there. Then remove the valve cord. Come on. Good. Okay, maybe you don't want to. You just don't. You really don't. Valve cord removed. Now, we'll see if we'll take care of these easier. No, not going to work on that one. Don't forget that. What should I move on? Anyway, we'll go ahead and put some sealant in there. Make sure it's not suspension fluid that we're going to use on the fork later. That's it. Some sealant. Inject it straight into the valve hole here. Nice and mess free. Back to the handy handy dandy travel bag. They probably have something in there. We're in a conundrum. It's going to be around here somewhere. Everything that's let's come back to number one. Look over here with me. Well, I should have a CO2 inflator right here. There should be one. I've got CO2s. I've got air gauges. But where's the CO2 inflator? Oh wait, we've got a bunch of chats. So you ride the trail bike and enduro more? I can totally understand that. I used to do that, and I didn't have a downhill bike. And then one day I went to snowshoe, and I rented a downhill bike. And then I had to buy one. And I started going snowshoe a lot more often. It's about a 3-hour drive from here. But you could drive there, ride all day, and drive home in one day. It's nice. Let's see where my CO2 inflator went. This is just so frustrating. I'm not going to concern myself with it. We're just not going to do that. The show must go on. So we're going to pretend like that works, and I'll inflate it tomorrow. Because I'm going to take it back off there anyway. Because I need to replace that bearing in the back wheel. That's just got to be done. So let's go back to the bike. Here. We are back in the bike. And somewhere I have an axle. It's somewhere just right here. There may be an early morning live stream when I do the bearing replacement. I feel like that would be more tolerable for my neighbors than doing it now. Because nobody likes to hear a bang, bang, bang at 1 o'clock in the morning. Because that's what time it is, West Virginia. Oh. Almost forgot to do something. Oh, we had the back wheel out. So I'm going to take that back out real quick. That's something, it's check brake pad wear. Put that there. Grab an Allen wrench. We have an Allen. And fully insert it. These things can get stuck, and if you don't get your Allen head fully inserted, you'll strip it out. And that's not going to be fun. I'm pretty sure we're going to be replacing these pads. So before I pull them out, I'm going to take my Park Tools PP 1.2 and stick it in between the pads and push those pistons back. So I'm going to come back to camera number 1. And we're going to notice there's not a whole lot of pad there. Can you see that? Won't focus. Anyway, I would say those pads are gone. I'm not even really going to bother putting them back in there because It's been a year. Your downhill brake pad. You're done. Done. I just so happen to have a set of sintered metal Tektro pads here. And I do have a pair of the same brake pads that I took out of there. But if you notice, the bike kind of rattles on the trail. Supposedly, these pads will rattle less. And I want less rattle. Who doesn't like less rattle? And I think these are actually slightly thicker than the stock Shimano pads. So this should give me a little bit longer pad life as well. Back to the bike. Widescreen. Figured we'd zoom out this time. You guys can see me from over there a little bit. Just a more conversational piece. Now we're going to insert our brake pads. Brake pads. Insert. How come they're fighting? These are the right brake pads right there. Maybe not. Might have to do the exact ones. I could have swore these were the right pads. They are. He just had to hold them perfectly straight. Yeah, they're definitely thicker than the Shimano's because my pistons need to be pressed back on. Oh. And if these are going to even work, they're so thick. What's the on there? Where's the piston press? Yeah, there's got to be something wrong with these pads. There's no way. With both pads inserted, there's maybe a millimeter further to go through. That makes no sense. Nonsensical. But I do have another pack right there on the wall. I'm just going to skip that and use the Shimano's. How about that? Make sure it's relatively pressed back. And there they are. Okay. We're done. Everything happens easier when people are watching. Why are you watching it? Because I want you to. Haha. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. So here we have some Shimano H03C Z Saint brake pads. Left and a right, and a little spring. That probably explains why I had those other pads when they weren't in a package. I have another set in a package over there. Hopefully they're not too thick. I probably need some on the front. Left and the right. It's that right in. Screw goes in. Screw goes in. Make it look better. There we go. And now we have fresh brake pads on the rear. Reinsert the back wheel. Voila. Definitely time for some new bearings. So that was the easy part. It seems to be working. Let's go through some. Hesitate a little bit. Shift back up to the large ring. With those tools up. Grab another set of gloves. Because, you know, gloves are your friend. You want oil on your skin. At least that. So I shifted to the largest chain ring, applying a lot of tension to the shifter cable. Now I'm going to grab the shifter housing and shift down to the smallest ring while pulling tension on the cable housing. And that's going to expose the wire on the inside. And add some lube to it. Get that hook shift down a little bit. Not so much. One up. Most of the grooves going up. Hesitating on just a couple coming down. So, the next step, make sure the derailleur is tight on the bike. It is. The next step is to remove the derailleur from the bike. Now with our Park Tools derailleur hanger tool, the DAG 2.2, we're going to insert this in the derailleur hanger hole. Tighten that down. Find it works best and easiest if you start using 4 points of the wheel. Generally down here at the bottom is where you're going to find that the derailleur is pushed in. It can get pushed in all kinds of directions, but most of the time it's getting pushed down right here. So I'm going to start there. Stay in line with the same part of the wheel. Otherwise you need to make sure the wheel is true. We're not going to get this wheel true. So we're going to make sure that we have the same point lined up with this tool, so we should have the same gap all the way around the wheel. And it's not too bad. Touching just a little out right here. I'm going to push this in just a little bit. However much it's out, you only want to bend it half that much to compensate. If you bend it any more than half, then you're going to push it out further than it was. Now, check around. Slightly touch, slightly touch, slightly touch it all the way around. Perfect. Hopefully. We'll see if actually. Makes it safe. Very hard. Doing that. Little hesitation coming down. One foot, one shift, one foot, one shift. All right. I'd say we got it. Just thinking like this out a little bit. If that's still good. That's not great. That's better. It's over there. I think I'm after at least the shift the paper towel thing. Been on here for a while. That's another thing I'm not going to do this evening because I don't have another one. All right. Can't forget to put my valve core back in. Yeah, it could. But it wouldn't be good. How are we doing on the chat? Still just hanging out? Looks like we still just got the one viewer. Awesome sauce. Glad you're still here. And with that, in the beginning of the video, I said I was going to continue on like I had just finished washing my bike. And we would lubricate all the pivot points. We'd hit those, a little bit of oil. And we want to displace any water that was put in there when we washed the bike. And I don't use a pressure washer of any kind when I wash my bike. But even with just using water and soap, you're moving a lot of moisture and pushing oils that are on your bike that should be in there. So we're going to re-lubricate all of our pivot points, even on our derailleurs. And this may even help the shifting work a little better, because all of these little things have to work and move smoothly. Every little point gets a little bit of oil. So we did that. Yeah. Now for the fun stuff. Front tires holding air still, but we're going to go ahead and remove it. On the RockShox Boxxer, we need to loosen the axle on the non-drive side by returning it 6 clicks counterclockwise. And then you can break the axle free. It's in there. It's been in there for a while. So we're going to grab a real Allen wrench. Here. The 6mm. This should give us some leverage. Holy crap. That should not be that tight. Okay, this is loose on this side. And 70. Oh, it's moving. Okay. Nice spooky. But this is why we do this stuff. I could say, oh, my front's fine. It's holding out great. But we want to make sure this stuff will come apart. Oh no, it's one of those. So, since I let the bike sit all winter with water in there, I've gotten corrosion on my axle, and now it's causing my hub and lower to expand. But that's okay, because we're replacing rotors. Take the rubber mounts. Who's the boss? Me. I'm the boss. Okay, so now we're going to have to fight to get this out of here a little bit more. We're past all the threads. I'm afraid to tap it too much. There, that should do it. That should come up. Once again, late nights, neighbors. They're not gonna like it. So we get complaints tomorrow. There's not really a lot of corrosion. What's going on? Why don't you just come in? What's keeping it from cutting out? I bet it hasn't compressed where I unscrewed it on this side. Let's see. But that doesn't make any sense. That should cause the uncrust. That should give us slack. gotta be something. Put a little bit of lube in it. See if that helps. And this is why when you take your bike to the bike shop and you're like, it's just a little problem, and they come back and they're like, nah, it's not just a little problem. It's because things like this, you didn't know it until you tried to take it apart. But I'd rather have this trouble here than on the mountain at Snowshoe. Yeah. Move back over to this camera. Show you guys what's up. All right, and we're back. And you can see just this little bit of corrosion right here was enough to cause all that trouble. So now we need to clean it off. Take a little bit of lube. Get a couple of drops on this rag. And that'll help break down the corrosion. Just polish it off there. And when we put it back in, we're going to put just a little bit of grease on the shaft. Make sure we don't put it on the threads. So put it on the threads, it's not going to be so good. It can come loose. Even with this anchoring system that the Maxwell has. Is this a Maxwell? I don't know. It's a Boxxer axle. The Maxwell something else. It's a different RockShox product for other forks. But the way this locks, it's supposed to help keep it from popping out and killing you with repeated abuse. If you put grease on it, it could come loose. Just wipe this down a little bit more. And you can see where the axles made contact, and that's where the dissimilar metals are causing corrosion because there's steel inner races. This is aluminum axle. Yes. Yay. Now let's go check those front brake pads. The wheel is still in the bike. Not anymore. These bearings feel a lot better than the back ones. They're also a lot newer. This front wheel is just a year or two old. The back wheel is as old as the bike. It's 2017, I think. Yeah, it's got some age. Oh, that's weird. Spilled some stuff. Need more racks. Alright, so we got that done. Gonna remove the front brake from the bike. See that front brake from the bike. Can't use this Allen wrench to remove every bolt because the shape of this front brake interferes. You have to use a regular Allen wrench. A longer, thin ratchet. Like this. Oh. Yeah. But we're probably going to need pads on this one too. And that makes me sad. I don't know if I'm going to have them. Then we're going to have to go over to Elk City Cycle in Elk City, aka the west side of Charleston, and get a set for my buddy. Grab it. So we got a zip tie on here as well. This fork was pretty blown up when I bought it. So not everything worked on it. The dander was actually blown. I didn't know that until I took it apart. That's why you should always service your suspension whenever you buy something used. No matter what somebody says, it's probably beat up. In this case, the guy told me it was beat up. He was like, it's tore up. I don't need it. I got a new one. I never serviced it. It's a terrible thing to say. But knowing enough about bikes and suspension and all that fun stuff, I knew I could just rebuild it myself. And here we are. I have rebuilt it. Time and time again. Clank. Where I put my other little Allen wrench. Put it in my pocket. It did. You should always go back in this set. You should always put your tools back where you got them. Not that I always do, because I'm a terrible example. Alright, so yeah, we got that off there. Come on. Surprised that stayed on there. I had to stick it on with JB Weld, because this port was boogered. And I said we're going to put our tools back where they go, but we're not. Because we're going to use that hand wrench second. And we're going to continue to use these Allen wrenches. So first we're going to look in here. And I'm going to say these brake pads are okay. They will last until I can get another set. Before I do that, just make sure these other ones aren't identical. The other set was way too thick. Fourth this thing, 5mm pad. I think that's the problem. 5mm Pro pad only works on the Tetra brake, not the Shimano brake. It's the right shape, but not the right fit. We're just going to hold off. But now, we're going to remove this cap right here on our rebound knob without turning the rebound knob like I was just doing, because we want it to be in the same spot. Different Allen wrench. A little bit bigger. Alright, so we've removed our rebound knob. Now the most important step. I'm going to remove my air cap. Look at my shock pump and check my pressure setting. I really don't know what it is. It's been a year and I forgot. Hopefully that's okay. That can't be right. It can't be right. It says I got 25 PSI in there. I know that's not right. Look at my other shock pump. I don't like this Fox shock pump. Heard it here first. Fox shock pump. My favorite. My trusty handy dandy, like 15-year-old Bontrager one. It's got a much longer nozzle on it. That's crazy. They are both saying at about 25 PSI. I really don't feel like there's that bit of everything. But we're gonna let that out. There's still more there than there. Something's going on. But hey, that's why we're doing late night bike repair. All the air is out. Now, we need to find the cap on this. Because you gotta remove the air cap and the lowers to do the lower replacement. What we're gonna do is take the air cap off. Once we pull the legs off, and clean it, put some fresh lube on it, so it'll be ready to go. The damper is a solid sealed mechanism, so unless there's a issue with it leaking oil, shouldn't have to do anything to it, and I don't want to. So I've got a charger in here, works great. 1 to 2 clicks in, because I weigh 150, 160 pounds. So now I'll go ahead and get this cap off and just get ready to remove the lowers, have all the pieces ready to go. Allen keys, what do I do with them? So that like this. What you doing? That one. This cap should come off. Loosen it up a bit more. There it goes. That is off. Set that down. Now we count underneath. Got a 5mm Allen wrench. That bolt free. That's super tight. So once again, it's good that we're doing this regular routine maintenance. These things do vibrate and come loose when you're riding the bike. Now, let's set that like that. Grab my bucket. Bucket's in place. Switch up to this view. Well, with our bucket in place there. We've got these two guys screwed out a bit. hold downward pressure on them, smack it. So I'll pop it back in there, turn it a little bit more, do it again. Hopefully that was enough. Oh, we get that oil to come out of there. And it's definitely time. Do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. You'll notice not a whole lot of oil came out, and that's because it's that time. You only have 10 cc's of fluid in each side of these, and that's not a whole lot. We got just a little scratch on our stanchion here. Nothing bad. Now here's going to be the hard part. That's not going to be bad. I just have to knock this little piece out here. Put this bolt inside of it. Out the other side. There we go. Happen to be there, I guess. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, just happen to be there. Okay, so we got both bolts out. I'm gonna come back over to camera number 1. Well, hello there. So what I was knocking out of the bottom of the fork there is this little cap. This is the base of the RockShox charger damper. So this has to be pressed into the bottom of that fork when we assemble everything. With a little bit of Loctite 609 retaining compound. I'm glad that YouTube threw here as well. Thanks. I'm glad you appreciate this bike. It is a older bike, like I was saying, 2017 Giant Glory. One of the things people will tell you is like shy away from older bikes, but that's not the case with downhill bikes. Even like down to 2014, even some of the 26-inch wheel bikes are still a ton of fun to ride. You just want to make sure you get something that has less than a 64-degree head tube angle. Some of the earlier downhill bikes had steep head tube angles, but anything that's 63 is going to be killer. That's what this has, 63-degree head tube angle. And then you can just rebuild them forever. Because generally, people never shred downhill bikes the way they should be. Like if they did, then they probably broke the bike. It didn't last that long. But if they didn't, then you end up with something like this that I got a sweet deal on because it was old. And I just rebuilt it, added a bunch of new parts, and spent as much money in parts as I did on the bike. So, yeah. Awesome. Here we have the new lowers. I'm going to go ahead and pull the rubber foam rings out, because they did come with new rubber foam rings. And we've got some RockShox 15 weight oil right here. We're going to go ahead and pour that into the lid. And soak the foam rings in it. So you want to get these things full of oil and put them back in there, and they help wipe off all the dirt that gets inside your fork. Because yes, dirt does get inside your fork. Those little dust wipers at the top are not seals, they are dust wipers. So it's important to wipe off the dirt that you build up between rides. So like after you park your bike, you want to be sure to wipe off the dust before you get riding. Because on that first compression, those dust wipers go up and over it, moisten it, and then pull it down, and it gets stuck on these guys. And if you don't do that 200-hour and 50-hour service, they just build up and get gummy and gross. Nasty. Nasty. And let's go back to the bike. Or that one. I'll go that one. And now, with our trusty RockShox suspension cleaner, I'm going to spray some of that on the lower stanchions here. All this stuff. Get this grease and grime and stride oil stuff off here. Just make it nice and clean so there's no contamination going inside the new fork when put fresh oil and stuff in here. And then we want to make sure that this O-ring is still up here, because if we don't, we'll hit ourselves later on when we're going to set sag. Okay, so we got all that dirt off. All that dirt off there. Now we need to take out the top cap. I'm just going to spray that off and wipe it down. You want to get all the dirt away from these things before we start, because when you take it off, you don't want that dirt falling down in there. But that's not going to be fun. All right, since we have that off, notice how firm that is. There's air trapped underneath in the positives, in the negative spring. So even though I've let the air out of this fork, there's still pressure in there. So I'm going to make sure we don't have pressure. Open it up and do something smart. Get some eye protection. And here we have the Park Tools SKT6. This is the flat face socket set designed for working on suspension forks. Instead of having a bevel or any kind of cut there, it's flat. So these will make full contact on those small bolts or whatever you call those, nuts. Is that a nut? Yeah, it's the air cap. That's what we're going to call it. That's what RockShox calls it. Almost dropped the bike. Get that going. So if this is your first time here, I do this every Friday night pretty much. There's some kind of bike repairs that I decide to do sometime between 11 o'clock and midnight Eastern time. And then I stay up till the ridiculous hour working on my bike. Or my kid's bike, or my other kid's bike, or Mia's bike. You know, we have a lot of bikes around here. Keep on screwing this cap. Keep on screwing. I don't think it's all that long. Threads. But it is a vacuum seal, so it's going to be hard to get out. And this one's really cool. It has a little compression cap on there. So if you've seen some of the tools that go in and act like, what do you call them, tokens, I can adjust this on the fly. And make it stiffen up. get more compression. Or what do you call it? Ramp up. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any more threads engaged, but it will come out. Keep twisting, pushing. Why are you doing this? Why are you being difficult? Somewhere there's air trapped inside, causing trouble. Put the eye protection back down. You can feel the air pressure, but it won't come out. Won't you? Just come out. You're fully threaded. There we go. Voila. Back to camera one. Yeah, eye protection. It's your friend. So this is really cool. Instead of having tokens in there, as I turn the knob at the top, this expands and creates more pressure at the bottom or at the top, you know. So you can reduce it or increase it like adding tokens on the fly. Thanks, RockShox. This would be on a World Cup like 2006. When I ordered my solo air kit, it came with this thing. I was like, they sent me something wrong. And then I looked through all the parts schematics and found out what it was, and I got stoked. So now, back to the bike. Actually, we're going to grab some more rags. I do believe I have some right here. All right, now we got to push this back in. So we're going to set this over here. Using a plastic tip off this marker here, pull my glasses back down. So all this pressure shouldn't really be here, but I can't get the count. Oh yeah, we're not going to do that. To do that, we have to remove the C-clip on the bottom. Let's just do it. We are going to do it. We're going to do it. I was doing it wrong. Not bad. That's why it didn't come out. It's been a while since I've taken the Boxxer apart. Still moves smoothly. So now we got some C-clip pliers here. These are Park Tools RP-4s. I'm going to take the bike down a little bit. Lower the eye protection. No, you want to. They've never this stuff because you're watching me. There we go. Jiminy. Got it out. So now, this will come out the bottom. And once again, we're glad we did that because this is gross. Just look at all that dirt and grime. And we'll go back to camera one. I had to run the wrong camera. Maybe we're not. Maybe I didn't. But you see the color of this stuff? It's like brown, oil, and it's not supposed to be brown oil. The color here is due to a mix of air and oil. That is correct. Or water and oil. Water and oil. And a little bit of dirt. So it's going to get all that stuff off there. There's suspension cleaner. And yeah, my fork felt fine, right? It functioned, it went up and down smoothly. But I knew what was going on inside. And as smooth as it felt, it wasn't perfect. It's definitely, I'm going to pull all this off here. Wipe this shaft down completely. Get all that grease off. All that dirt and grime getting on this seal is why you have reduced performance and what causes real long-term wear on your fork. So if you didn't do this regular maintenance a year from now, and then you need to have your fork serviced because you're having trouble, then you're going to have scoring on these pieces of your fork, on these shafts, on the lowers, on the inside of the forks where this slides up inside. All that dirt is going to cause friction against this seal, and it may cause a leak in your air seal. Then you may have to replace your stanchions, the upper tubes, because they can no longer hold air. Nobody wants that. Not even the guy who's working on your bike, because he's just going to get you mad at him and he tells you it's going to cost $500 to fix your $1,000 fork. $2,000 fork. Have you ever priced one of these things? They are ridiculous. That's why I bought one used and rebuilt it like 6 times. Get all that grit and grime off here. We just don't want it going back in the fork, being gross. Yeah, that must have been like that. Another cool thing, I don't know if you can see it here, with this Devon Air system, or it's Solo Air. This is not Devon Air. This is the upgraded modified air spring. So you have this little valve as it comes all the way to the bottom. And it's this little buffer and allows air to pass from the positive to the negative chamber. And what that does exactly, I don't know. That's what it does. Alright, so all that's back in line. Got our smiley clip. It's not a smiley clip, it's a C clip. Nobody uses smiley rings anymore. Thanks, Fox. So with your C-clip, you'll notice one side's flat. You always want that facing down. You want that to be the firm edge hitting the bottom lip of the retaining clip. The other edge is rounded, and it could slip. You don't want that. Back to the bike. So now we're going to clean out the tube here. Get all that grit and grime and everything out. Get it out. Nobody wants it. And this is what I'm cleaned off the top. A bit, I want to be pushing that stuff down in there. Almost got it clean. This is where I should be more prepared and have one other tool that I just don't have. Oops. Hopefully this will be firm enough. You don't want to use anything that's going to scratch the inside of the fork. And I should have a dowel rod or something at this point in my life because I've been doing this long enough. But I can't. What else do I have? I have to have something. I have to have something safe. I don't really. Anyway, theoretically, you should have a dowel rod wrap around this and push it all the way through. But it looks like I've gotten all the grease out. I'm just going to push it down in there as far as I can one more time. Just make sure we get all that dirt out. Voila. This is clean. It is a clear tube. We're coming back to camera number one. Gotta hold my butt. Take that off. I'll put another glove. All right, so we got that clean. We got this clean. Where is the other guy? We want to wipe this off. This is the piece that's going to go at the bottom of the charger damper on the non-drive side. Get all that cleaned off. Shake up our Loctite 609. Apply a little bit of that to the outside of it. Just set it off to the side for now. Okay, so we get rid of the dirty rags here. And we're going to throw the Judy Buddy over there. Highly recommend throwing your Judy Buddy before you get working with it. Just really helps set the mood. Okay. Yeah. Open this up. And going to apply a little bit to this O-ring here. Not a lot of bit, just a little bit. If you put a bunch of grease on the inside of your fork, it's going to cause problems. These little ports, like this one that's activated here, is going to get gummed up with grease and not be able to move. And the air's not going to travel through there as it should. And that's going to cause problems, which you don't want. Because we want all this stuff to run smooth. Just a nice little coat so everything is moving nice and easily. And once again, this is why we service our stuff regularly. This light amount of lubrication isn't going to last a long time. It's 3-6 months. You're out there at snowshoe, you're rinsing your bike off. Yeah, we don't pressure wash our bikes, but you saw the color of the stuff that comes out of here. And I try to be pretty cautious about washing my bike. And I know I pressure washed it with the hoses just at snowshoe. Those aren't very powerful. And it pushes dirt past the seals and gets mixed in there with water. Yeah, it's gross. So we need to have this regular maintenance done to make sure everything is running nice and smooth. And now, we've got a little bit of grease, just lightly applied to everything on here, so that's going to run smooth. Perfect. Go back over to the bike with the seat clip and put this in. Let's do that. Let's go with this camera. We haven't used this camera. Let's zoom out just a little bit. So we didn't remove any of this spacer set right here. This is all magical. We just cleaned it. But you have a little spring that's on top and a wave washer that's underneath it. And they need to stay in that order. You can take them off. And if you take them off and you forgot what you did with them, you can refer to the RockShox manual on their website, and it'll show you a complete schematic of how all of this stuff goes back together. But it needs to go back together in the proper order so that it's applying downward pressure on this C-clip once we put it in there. And that just keeps everything working safely so you don't die. And I'm going to grab just a little bit more grease. Just a tiny bit. Like I said, not a lot of bit, just a tiny bit. We're going to put that up inside here and smooth it around and then wipe off any excess. And we're going in. Make sure you get all those clips lined up, you don't bend anything. This stuff goes right into the fork, nice and easy. That's what we say, nice and easy, right? The C-clip. Flat edge, down, and then on the bottom, what's this piece called? The seal head. On the bottom of your seal head, there is a little notch. You want to align that notch with the gap in the C-clip. Compress that, and it should go in pretty easy. It's not all the way in. And this is one of the things we're going to be like, why are you wearing gloves? It makes things more difficult. And I'm going to be like, because I do it all the time. And the grease and stuff is really bad for your skin, and I don't want to die of cancer. odds end. Man, my glove just ripped. And the hard part is getting around that little tab at the bottom of the seal head. So you gotta make sure these get fully inserted and clear that piece, because if not, you're gonna be in my position where you're fighting against it. There we go. To come back out and turn to clear. You gotta go like a millimeter that way. There we go. So it went past the lip, and now I'm just making sure that the C-clip is fully pressed back and inserted all the way evenly. You cannot be safe enough when you do this, because if these things pop out, you die. Your lowers shear off, you're in the air, or whatever you did, you came off the ground, and now your bike is going to kill you. And I really want to trust this thing to do stupid stuff. I'm going to jump off mountains and cliffs, but we seem to be fully inserted in there this time. Back to camera number one. Well, hello. We're back at camera number one. We've been soaking our foam rings, and we're going to take those and stick those just past the rubber foam rings or dust wipers, and then make sure they're pushed back and flat into position. Sometimes they can get twisted. This is a little twisted. You want to get all that twist out, because when we go to stick it up on the fork, that's going to cause friction, and we're not going to like that, because we don't want any friction. We want everything to function smoothly. If they get pinched, it'll tear, and then we'll have a piece of foam. Oh, you don't want foam in there. All right, and that will move pretty easy. Just press it around, make sure it's flat, just like the other. And then these already have a little bit of oil or grease in that seal. But I'm going to put just a little bit more beauty butter around the inside of that over. Dust wiper. Dust wiper. And it's always just a little bit, never a lot of it. More grease can attract dirt, and the more dirt that's in there, the more likely you are to scratch your stanchions, score these little bushings that are inside here. The whole reason we bought our new lowers, because the other ones were wiggling. Yeah. But after this is basically a brand new Boxxer with a year of use on it, because I got the charger, that was new. I replaced the stanchion on the left side, that was new. The right side's perfectly fine. What a $1,800 fork for $600-700. Yeah. Okay, so we got that in there. We're just gonna set that to the side. We got one more thing to do with this. I'll put some oil around that. grease, not oil. And on this one, like I was saying about the axle, you don't want to get grease on your threads. We're going to go above and just get it on that O-ring. Because we want that O-ring to have a little bit of lubrication as we're tightening it back into place. We don't want it to move or... Oh, I'm going to have to clean that off. Got a little bit on the threads. Grease on the threads is your enemy. All right, so we did that. Oh, yeah, a little bit of oil. Let's go back to the bike. Now, they don't say to do this, but I'm going to, just because I like to do things. I'm going to add just a little bit of oil. Does that really just happen? That really just happened. RockShox just said that's what you get when you do stuff. So I just wanted to have just a little bit more lubrication. So I put just a little bit of oil in there. And this is suspension oil. But in doing so, a tiny little plastic off that lid, that area, fell inside my foot. Yeah. Hopefully it'll come out easy. It did, yeah. Always goes as planned. Let's get some new gloves. Ta-da! New gloves. So RockShox says you're only supposed to put suspension grease, like Judy butter, on that part. I believe them. You believe them. Well, like she said, regular maintenance, this is supposed to be serviced every 50 hours. I'm probably going to go a little bit longer than that, so adding a little bit more lubrication to the top is not going to kill me. It's not going to kill you either. And it does run a tiny chance of entering the area of having more things in there to clog up those seals than it should. So that's what can happen there. And you should always thread it easily and smoothly. If you feel any resistance, stop. Take it out. Make sure there's no grit or grime in the way and that you don't have anything cross-threaded. Because you are bolting aluminum things into aluminum things, and if you booger one of them, you're in trouble. One of these tubes costs like $200. A new top cap for this air piece is going to be like $100 for the type that I have. Yours may be less expensive. I could get the less expensive top hat for this as well, but then I'm going to have to get tokens. I've got tokens in my suspension box, but then I'm going to have to use tokens. Whereas now, I can just turn this knob. I like that. Snug. This next part, I always take the bike off the stand just because who has ceilings through this high? Theoretically, we should take the fork off the bike to do this work, but we're not RockShox. we don't have a warehouse to do all that stuff. So we're just gonna do it on the bike. Yeah. Flip this over. Oh, my seat's all up there, making my bike off balance. Off balance bike. Don't fall over. Come on. Stay right there. Right there. Okay. So we're going to stay right there. That's the damper set. All right. We've got our new lowers. We're just going to slide these on here. Gently. Never work in house slippers. Just wear your tennis shoes. Looks like that much easier. Alright, so now we're going to stand on that to hold it in place. Carefully glide these on. Those are on. Now, we're going to perform magic. We're going to hold one foot right there. Oh. This is what this is going to sleep like this. I would never have my seat this high. Stay right there. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's what I was doing. That is fair. Did we put that piece back on? We did not put that piece on. We just didn't, did we? So the good news is that piece that we were going to put in there for the charger damper, it's already installed in there in the new fork. We don't have to do it. That's great. Now we're taking 10 cc's and 15 weight fluid. And dislodge the fork from the end of the stanchions. You want to make sure that the fluid goes into the fork and not just into your bolt, because then it's going to squirt back in your face. That may have been a bit more than 10, and that may have been a little bit more than 10, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be exact. But once again, you don't want to go wild with it and put a bunch in there. Now, let's secure these things. I'm just going to push these down until they engage a little bit. It really wants to just make me look stupid. You know what? Because I am. So we'll just tighten these up just a little bit and get it up on the stand and complete this part of the mission. Next, 10 cc's. That's what it says. And then back to every mechanic's favorite handy dandy tool. The torque. And the 5mm this time. And the 5. And the F5. Hey Siri, what's the foot bolt torque on a 2016 RockShox Boxxer? RockShox torque specification Boxxer 73. Bottom bolt 73. Okay. There we go. I honestly did not expect Siri to answer that question as well as she did. Now, with no air in that fork, just look how quickly it returns. Nice and smooth. Yeah. Gloves off. So now, we're going to return air to the fork. And I'm pretty sure I had more than 25 PSI in it. If I didn't, that's crazy. I'm a light guy, but that's crazy. Okay, so you get a little bit of air in the fork, then you want to compress it. So you're transferring air to the negative chamber from the positive chamber. And you're really supposed to disconnect this. I'm a terrible mechanic. Fill it in. And I'm doing it in 25-pound increments. Alright, so let's get about 50 PSI in. Put this back on, see how much air it lost when it transferred to the negative chamber. Alright, so now we've got 75. Back it off. That's it. And that should do that. Forget about it. All right, so we're going to set the sag tomorrow. But that should give us a good base setting. All right, I'm going to put this other cap back on. Oh, like I don't look right. That's because we didn't put this back on. So this is our adjuster knob for our air ramp feature. Tight down. And these are tiny, tiny, tiny little 2mm Allen heads. So you want to just barely apply any tension to them. And just lightly torque them. And that's all they do. Because you want them to come off. And you don't want them to strip out. Yeah. And now with that back in there, we put this cap on. And we're good. And now we need to return our rebound screw, our rebound adjusting knob here. Put that on there. Tighten that. And this isn't super important. You can lose this and you'll be okay. It's just a 3mm Allen wrench, I believe. You stick it up in there and you can make the adjustment, but then you have to carry an Allen wrench with you to make that adjustment. You don't want to do that. So don't lose it. Put it back. Go ahead and get our wheel ready to put back in. Come back over to 1. All right, we're at camera number 1. And like I said, you don't want to put grease on your threads, but we don't want this to happen again. So we're going to put a little bit of grease on the inside. We're just going to make contact with those steel points. Just a little bit, not a lot of it. See, we got grease on it, but it's not like oozing. It's just like I want a bit of grease. So now, we're going to go, and this is just regular axle grease. This is Park P, whatever. It's their Polylube 3000, 1000. It's green. It'll be fine. Back to the bike. PPL2. That's what the container says. That is the wrong way. I just had this really silly idea that I should put that other wheel on this bike, but I don't have a cush core in that tire. I don't want to do that. I've got a tannis liner in this one. Let's see that way back in much more easily. Tighten it. And 6 clicks on the other side. And that should keep the axle from coming out. cable guide. Should be the same as this cable guide we already have. We're not going to tighten that down all the way so we get the brake where we want it. And we go ahead and put a drop of Loctite on these bolts. It's labeled in blue Loctite 243. You want to be able to take them off one day. So it's not red Loctite, it's blue Loctite. I stepped on my container of Loctite the other day and I stepped on it, so get much in there. There we go. Now I'm going to spend another $50 on a bottle of Loctite. Actually, I think I have Part Tools version of Loctite over there we can use. And can go. It's very faithful. No, it's 230. All right, so you get the brake. Oh man, I'm glad I didn't get that tightened down. Oh, I felt like an idiot. Did you see what I did wrong? Did you see it? I have my brake cable going to the outside, but it's more likely to get snagged on something. Now, put it back in. The inside. Less likely to get caught. Not that I've ever had that happen, but hey, theoretically, this is less likely to have that happen. So now, with the bolts close to tight, but not quite, the brake almost all the way down, squeeze it like 3 times, let it center itself up, hold the brake lever in, and then tighten the bolts. At that point, it should theoretically clear the brake, but it's not. Now we're going to loosen it up, dance into place. Almost got it. What we're trying to do is look down through the brake and get light on both sides. And voila, just chirps in the one spot where the rotor's bent a little bit. I can live with that. It's snug. That's the last thing I want is my front wheel come off, front brake come off. You know what I'm saying? You know what it means. All right. Works rebuilt. Are you okay with me? Let's come back to camera 1. I like camera 1. Now we're going to put our Allen wrenches back where they go. Allen wrench here. Allen wrench here. Teeny tiny 1.5. Like, who decided that we needed a 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench? Yeah, who did that? Alright, there should be one more Allen wrench hiding back in. Got it. Done with those for now. I know we're done with these. I'm going to put those back in the drawer. And for those of you who are like, man, you've got a lot of tools, like, how did you end up with that kind of tool supply? Because I've been doing this for a very long time. I love bicycles. All right. So tonight we have rebuilt the fork on the lowers, redid the air chamber, standard 50-hour maintenance, along with the replacement of the lowers. Normally you would just be replacing your dust wipers. In this case, we took them off and just threw them away. Go in the trash. We got a whole new set. But I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night on that one. Tomorrow morning, I think I am going to come back, pull out the back wheel, see if we can't knock those bearings out and see what size they are. I've got a whole bunch here, but my neighbors are not going to appreciate me banging on this vise. All that stuff at 2:30 in the morning. So we're just going to call it a night on that one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Eat a donut and stay rad.